If you're an Eagles fan celebrating this NFC East title like it's some kind of unquestionable proof that everything is suddenly fixed in Philadelphia, I need you to pause right now because the loudest reaction to this game isn't about dominance, it's about doubt. And that's what makes this moment so explosive. On the surface, this looks clean, professional, even inevitable, but underneath it, there's a tension that refuses to go away, because this was supposed to feel overwhelming, and instead it felt delayed, messy, and strangely uneasy. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles clinched the NFC East for the second straight season, something that hasn't happened in 20 years, and yet the reaction from analysts wasn't pure praise, it was a warning. That alone should tell you everything. This was a night where Philadelphia did exactly what it was supposed to do, but somehow managed to raise more questions than answers. And when that happens this late in the season, it sets off alarms. The Eagles didn't announce themselves as an unstoppable playoff force. They reminded everyone that winning and convincing are two very different things. The Commanders were injured, undermanned, and spiraling, and yet for a large stretch of this game, Philadelphia didn't look like a team ready to terrorize January. They looked like a team waiting for the other side to collapse. And yes, it eventually happened, but the fact that it took so long is precisely why this win has people arguing instead of celebrating. That's the controversy. That's the discomfort. That's why this conversation feels heavier than the scoreboard suggests, because when you lock up a division title and the first thing people talk about is slow starts, discipline issues, and whether you can flip a switch you haven't flipped yet, that's not confidence. That's cautious optimism bordering on concern. This game wasn't just about clinching, it was about exposing exactly where the Eagles stand. And that picture is far more complicated than the confetti implies. So here's what actually happened and why it blew up the way it did. Philadelphia entered this matchup against Washington with the NFC East on the line, and early on, it didn't look like a coronation. The Commanders were up 10-7 in the third quarter when Marcus Mariota, under pressure, took a shot downfield, came up incomplete, and then went down with a hand injury that would end his night. That moment quietly changed everything. Washington was suddenly on a third-string quarterback, and from that point on, the game tilted sharply. Jalen Hurts connected with Dallas Goedert on third and goal to take the lead. The defense capitalized with an interception by Cooper DeJean, and Saquon Barkley began doing what Saquon Barkley has done his entire career when given space and volume, imposing his will. The Eagles pulled away, won 29-18, clinched the division, and made history as the first NFC East team in 2 decades to repeat. That's the headline. That's the achievement. But the reason this story has legs is because of everything surrounding it, not just the result. Before we go deeper, if you're enjoying this breakdown and want more unfiltered NFL conversations that go beyond the box score, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit that like button, because this stretch of the season is where narratives get exposed and pretenders get separated from contenders. Now let's get into why this win feels both massive and strangely hollow at the same time. The loudest theme coming out of this game wasn't celebration, it was perspective. Analysts repeatedly pointed out that this is exactly what Philadelphia was supposed to do. Beat the Raiders, beat the Commanders, take care of business, and they did. But the tone never shifted to dominance because the opponent simply didn't demand it. Washington didn't have its quarterback, didn't have its tight end, and looked like a team already thinking about the offseason. That context matters, and the panel didn't shy away from saying it. This felt like a good team versus a bad team that was packing it in, and while that doesn't negate the win, it limits what you can learn from it. The Eagles leaned on Saquon Barkley, who quietly joined Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon as the only players with 5 1,000-yard rushing seasons since entering the league in 2018, and somehow even that felt underappreciated. Barkley ripped off a 48-yard run late, battered his way into the end zone earlier, and looked every bit like the engine of this offense. Yet the conversation immediately turned to whether this success is transferable against real playoff resistance. That's the underlying tension. Barkley was dominant, but was he dominant because the Eagles have solved something, or because Washington couldn't stop it? The analysts leaned toward the latter, and that's not disrespect, that's realism. Jalen Hurts' role in this discussion is particularly fascinating because on paper, he did what winning quarterbacks do. He threw the touchdown that flipped the game, managed the offense, avoided catastrophic mistakes, and walked off with another division title. But the scrutiny didn't fade, it intensified. The question wasn't whether Hurts can win games, it was whether this offense has reached its ceiling. There was open skepticism about whether Philadelphia has discovered anything new, anything creative, anything that will surprise elite teams in January. The phrase "you are who you are" at this point in the season landed hard because it suggests that improvement isn't guaranteed, it has to be proven. And that's where the talk about flipping a switch came in. This roster is loaded with veterans who have seen the highest of highs, players with championship DNA, and because of that, there's belief they can elevate when it matters. But belief without evidence is just hope, and hope is dangerous in the playoffs. Then there's the discipline issue, which quietly loomed over this celebration. The game opened with a fumble on the kickoff and ended with a scrum that resulted in Tyler Steen getting ejected after throwing a punch. Hats, flags, bodies everywhere. A chaotic finish to a game that should have been routine. That matters because how you start and how you finish says a lot about focus. Analysts didn't panic, but they didn't ignore it either. Late game ejections can lead to fines, potentially suspensions, and while the expectation is that this incident will result in a hefty financial penalty rather than lost games, the timing couldn't be worse. With the division locked up and a massive matchup against Buffalo looming, the Eagles are supposed to be sharpening, not slipping. These are small cracks, but small cracks become fractures against elite competition. What Philadelphia undeniably does better than almost anyone, though, is finish drives. The red zone efficiency was emphasized for a reason. Over 70% conversion on the season, 3 for 3 in this game, and when they get inside the 5, everyone knows what's coming. That certainty is priceless. It covers for a lot of flaws, especially when Jake Elliott is struggling. Elliott going 0 for 2 raised eyebrows, not because anyone doubts his resume, but because margins shrink in January. Still, the confidence in him remained, rooted in history and trust. That's another theme with this Eagles team. They are built on trust in experience. Trust that Barkley will produce, trust that Hurts will lead, trust that Elliott will rebound, trust that veterans will clean things up. The problem is that trust only gets you so far when the schedule stiffens. And that's where Buffalo enters the conversation like a looming stress test. The Bills are hungry, fighting for seeding and playing with urgency, while Philadelphia has already checked one major box. Analysts were clear about what they want to see next, and it wasn't style points, it was urgency. Fast starts, discipline, and a sense that this team understands what's coming. Because slow starts and sloppy finishes are survivable against Washington, they're fatal against playoff-caliber opponents. The panel made it clear that while this division title is historic, it doesn't guarantee anything beyond a home playoff game. The NFC West could send someone to Philadelphia, and that won't be easy for the visitor, but it won't be easy for the Eagles either if these lingering issues persist. So here's the real takeaway from this night. The Eagles are back-to-back NFC East champions for the first time in 20 years, and that is absolutely a big deal. It speaks to consistency in a division defined by chaos. But this win didn't silence critics. It energized them. It reinforced the idea that Philadelphia can win without necessarily convincing, that they have enough talent to beat who they're supposed to beat, but still haven't proven they can overwhelm elite teams on command. Saquon Barkley was sensational, the defense capitalized when it needed to, and Jalen Hurts guided another title run, yet the conversation keeps circling back to what this team hasn't shown, not what it has. That's the strange paradox of this Eagles season. Success has raised expectations so high that even winning the division feels like a checkpoint, not a destination. The Eagles enjoyed it, took a breath, and now the pressure resets immediately because January doesn't care about division banners. It cares about execution, urgency, and mistakes you can't afford to make. And until Philadelphia shows that version of itself, from the opening kickoff to the final whistle against a true contender, this debate isn't going anywhere.